Keel guests heard via the Jack Spring Electric Keel Newsmaker hotline. A gentleman we have not had on for some time. Perfect time for this is the state's Commissioner of Administration, Mr. Jay Dardenne. Hey, Mr. Jay, welcome back to Keel. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Thank you. Well, nice to be with you.
Let's start here. Let's start with something that I think got a little misreported last evening. The governor did not say that Louisiana's over 60 should self-quarantine. There was a WWL headline. That, as a matter of fact, I checked this morning. It's still up. What the governor did say is that those over 60 should, I think the term was, limit contact with others, right?
That's exactly right. The governor did not say that anybody over 60 should self-quarantine. And, you know, the rumors have been rampant, as unfortunately usually happens in a situation like this. So that was not the only misstatement out there, not necessarily all attributed to the governor, but there's just a lot of rumors making the rounds. And unfortunately, we're trying to encourage people to just rely on credible sources that they hear say things that should be done.
Let's talk about schools for a couple of seconds. How difficult a decision was that to make? And maybe in the same vein, how difficult is it going to be to implement the plan going forward?
All these decisions are difficult. This is an unprecedented situation, and obviously things are changing literally by the day. Things will change today. I don't think there's any doubt about that based upon what will come out of Washington later this morning. So all these decisions have been difficult. Obviously, we've not had a school closure like this nationally or within the state, but some rules are going to be suspended so that things can be as normal as possible when we're able to get the kids back in classes.
Jay, what happens with spring testing? A lot of teachers are asking me that. Where are we there? Do we know anything yet?
I do not think we know anything yet.
Just to clarify, and Aaron had mentioned this to me, and I had not seen it. It's these days, these 4 weeks that are going to be missed, they are not going to be made up, right?
I believe that's correct.
Okay, there are several school systems. I know Caddo and Bossier are working on plans for the virtual learning. There are some that saying, yeah, some kids will take part in it because their parents will make them, but some won't. Are you a little concerned about students are going to get left behind, missing a full month?
Well, it's hard to gauge, and I think the educational leaders are going to be the ones who will have to make those decisions and react as best we can. As we all know, and I hate to repeat myself, but we've just never been in a situation like this. I don't think any of us ever contemplated we'd be in a situation like this. We are, unfortunately, very well schooled in disasters, but those have been natural disasters that have affected, for the most part, limited areas of the state, and closures have affected only limited areas, and assistance can be given by those folks who've not been impacted. This is everybody in the country. This isn't just a particular geographic region of Louisiana. It's not just Louisiana. It's everybody, and everybody's playing by somewhat different rules state by state, because obviously governors have the authority within their states to decide what needs to be done. I understand there's probably going to be a little more federal direction coming today with an announcement this morning based upon what was said yesterday.
There's some concern. I know California's done it. Several others have, about closing bars, nightclubs, even one state's closing casinos, possibly restaurants. Could we see that coming for Louisiana?
I think you could see that coming in many locations. That's not to say that it's going to happen, but I think some of this is going to be dictated by what comes out of Washington today. And with what you saw yesterday, with the CDC recommending now limiting groups to 50 as opposed to 250, like us and some other states had done, I think you're seeing a more restricted response right now as there's more and more concern about the spread of the virus.
Mr. Jay, how do you enforce something like that?
Very difficultly. We're not going to have people running around, police or firemen or first responders, checking numbers at the door or anything like that. This is going to be a lot of self-enforcement and a lot of people doing what is suggested to be done. I mean, that's the only way you can address something like this. It's as widespread.
Jay, the other question you're hearing, and I know you are, is the impact to the economy. I mean, businesses that are not seeing their normal traffic, workers who are not seeing the hours that they normally would have at their jobs, or they're not getting paid at all. What are the answers for that? Are we working on that now?
Aaron, I think that's very real, and obviously a lot of people are thinking about that, and we're certainly thinking about that from the standpoint of the state's budget as we go forward for the rest of the fiscal year, as well as for next fiscal year. We still don't have a forecast in place for the remainder of this year or for next year. I think we'll have one, and I think it'll be coming about in early April as we had planned, no matter what. And certainly this is going to have an impact. How big of an impact and for how long, it's hard to gauge. I'm not the economist. We'll have to rely on the economists to tell us what they think is going to happen, and then also see as a practical matter what happens as things move back into commerce, which will happen, we hope, sooner instead of later.
Mr. Jay, the governor's office is no small office. The state government of Louisiana is certainly no small. It's no small business, to use that word. What are the governor's plans for maybe limiting the number of people that are coming to work in Baton Rouge, in the Capitol building, et cetera?
Well, we've done that already. We've already implemented a plan to allow people who have the capability to work from home and don't normally work from home to do just that. This is day one of that being implemented. So you have to ask me a few days later how this has worked, because we know that many departments don't have the capability to do that. But, for example, the Department of Children and Family Services does have the capacity to do that. So a number of their employees are going to be working from home, and work will get done. But it just is going to be a day-to-day basis to see exactly how it's going to implement things. The Civil Service Commission has authorized a special rule to deal with leave, and I won't go into all the details, but there are a number of different leave provisions that are available to people who need to take leave to care for children or to care for sick relatives.
What about the legislative session, which is in progress? Are they adjusting things right now?
We had a discussion with the legislative leadership last night, and I think they're going to be making some decisions today as to what their plans are to go forward, particularly since the gathering has been now recommended to be limited to 50 rather than 250, and so that has a pretty significant impact on the legislature given the size of the two bodies.
Mm-hmm.